Welcome to AMP Rapid Fire. Talent might open the door, but mindset determines how long you stay in a room. This is a Sasyn mental performance where we build athletes to become incredible human beings. Today, we got a guy who lived it in music. Today's guest is a master of consistency, discipline, and elite performance. Dennis Whittaker, I'm talking about here, a musician who's been operating at the highest level for decades. Principal double bassist with the Houston Grand Opera Orchestra since 1996, has performed and toured globally with the Houston Symphony, winner of the 1987 prestigious Gary Carr Foundation National Bass Competition, has been invited to play The Who, the Eagles, Peter Gabriel. But here's what stands out. This isn't about performance. It's about impact. For 30 years, he's been shaping the next generation, developing musicians who go out to perform at the highest levels across the world. Dennis himself, global performer, elite educator, and someone who understands what it takes to stay sharp under pressure for a lifetime. Because in music, just like in sports, the stage doesn't slow down, but the mind has to. Dennis, welcome to AMP Rapid Fire.
Thank you, Carl. Thanks for having me, man.
So eventually the role you play comes to an end, but the mindset you build stays with you forever. What does that mean to you?
I was lucky to have a lot of very influential teachers and mentors through my life and through my development. And I had my high school teacher talk one time about how teachers are immortal. It's about the idea that teachers promote and that they instill into their students. My teacher was a choir director, and my orchestra teacher was a performer also in Kansas City. And they taught me discipline. They taught me quality. I didn't know how good they were. I just knew that they were enthusiastic and they loved us. And they told us when we were good, and they taught us how to see our strengths. I know that when I'm gone, I know that the ideas that they taught and that I've helped develop in the kids also will continue on. I think that those ideas and the habits are bigger than me.
That's an incredible point. So what path led you to where you are today?
I grew up in Kansas City, and I grew up playing bass. My parents played Buddy Holly, the Beach Boys. My dad played guitar. One time in math class, I saw him make up a song on the spot. It showed me how creative he was, and it showed me that I could be creative also. I found the bass, and I found out that I was good at the bass. My friends said that I was good, so I would play more, and then I would get with my friends. They showed me how to play electric bass. Playing was just part of my development, and then I realized that I could go to college and people would pay me to play the bass, so that was cool. So I went to Baylor, moved from Kansas City to Waco. So I went down there, played in orchestras, not only in the college, but outside, and I would start freelancing around and also playing jazz with my friends, playing music that wasn't related to my degree directly. And then after that, I won the Gary Carr competition, which was a national competition. And that was the first moment of validation that I had that I could perform on a national level. So after that, I went to Chicago for graduate school to study with Jeff Braditich. That was when I really buckled down about technique and started learning about power and velocity and more athleticism. After that, I got my first teaching job, came back, and didn't really play for 2 years. I moved down to Houston in 1990. I picked up some private students, and I got a job playing again in a Brazilian cafe on Saturday nights for black bean and plantains. And then when my hands got back, a lot of things happened. I started playing more with friends. I'm an elite teacher, Paul Ellison in Houston. I was still playing with friends, and then I started freelancing more, got my hands back, got my chops back. And then in 1996, I auditioned, got on the sub list for the Houston Symphony, got the job at the Houston Grand Opera, and started teaching college at Sam Houston State University. And then I got the job teaching at the University of Houston 2 years after that. It was a long path with a lot of bumps along the way, but for me, it always went back to playing. And as long as I could have a place to play and people to play with, then I knew that I could perform. And so now, after COVID, I went back to teaching public school and left University of Houston, but the Houston Grand Opera worked it out where I could still play with them. So that's where I am, teaching and playing.
That's awesome. For every athlete, and there is a tie between mental performance and music and life in general. So when you had your first professional deal, when you got paid, What did that feel like? What was that moment like for you?
Man, money in the bank for me to play and get paid for it seems in the first part of it, I couldn't quite understand. When my orchestra teacher told me that she had a job playing flute, I didn't really understand what that meant. I knew there were symphonies out there. I didn't know how much they got paid. It felt funny at first, but it's something that makes people happy. And there are strong institutions in the country that promote that, that develop, that give a place for working artists to come out and spread the craft. I always say that they don't pay me to play, they pay me to move the equipment around and pay me to drive there and set up. I play for free.
Oh, I love it. I love play for
Yeah.
the passion.
Right.
So right now, no thinking. Are you driven by fear or confidence?
I'm driven by confidence. There are a lot of people in my life that told me that I would not be good enough. I just felt sorry for them because they couldn't
Mm.
see what I was doing. And I always saw that as more of a personal insecurity. I'm happy when I play music, and other people are happy when I play music. And that to me builds confidence. And that's what drives me is the look on people's faces when I'm playing.
Excellent answer. I know in sports, athletes, we make errors. Maybe the public isn't aware of the error. Have you ever had a mistake one of your performances? And if so, how did you recover once that error was made?
I love it. The first mistake that shook me hard was in a rehearsal with the Houston Symphony. They had a German conductor named Christoph Eschenbach with the most intense eyes I'd ever seen. It was my first time in there, and I was a cocky kid. I didn't know much. I thought I could change the world. And there were all these other musicians in there that I respected that I wanted to make an impression on. And we were playing one piece, and he started, and I came in two beats early, really loud. And he had to stop, and he turned and he just made eye contact with me, and then turned back around and we started it again. And it shook me hard because, and I couldn't play for the next 10 minutes. And this was very early in my career. And I remember the first note that I made because I had to come back in and play. After that, I said, that's never going to happen again. And that's when I realized it was the mental thing. It wasn't anything about my technique that had made the mistake. I was cocky and I wasn't paying attention. But that shook me, and it took me 10 minutes to get back in the game. And now I make mistakes and they don't shake me. They just go through me. But that first one I'll always remember.
Experience is the teacher. That's the
Right.
key.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you feel the difference is between being a confident musician and an arrogant musician?
That's good. I think confidence is internal and arrogance is external. I think there's some places where there's room for ego when it has to push you through. When I think of arrogance, the first person I think of is Larry Bird. I mean, he could take care of business, but he would always tell you about it. But that played a role because if you can destroy your opponent's mindset, but music is a they call it a one sum game. Hockey is a zero sum game. There's one winner, one loser. In music,
Yeah.
there's no losers. There's no need to get into somebody's head. There's no
Mhm.
need to wear your talent on your sleeve like a badge
Mhm.
because you can either play or you can't. People are going to like your music or they're not going to like your music. You can either contribute to the product or you can't. I think confidence, everybody has to be confident, and you have a role in lifting up the other musicians in your group also and help them be confident. There have been arrogant musicians come through and they generally don't last long because
Mhm.
over the years musicians have learned that a rising tide lifts all boats. That the
Mhm.
better you are as an orchestra, the better you are as a player, and the better your teammates are around you, the better the whole product's going to be. People collaborate.
It's a great point. You're getting ready to perform. You've got thousands of people that are out in the audience. Do you have any pre-show routine? Because I know a lot of athletes have one. Is there anything you do prior to get yourself mentally prepared to go out in front of thousands of people?
I at the Houston Opera, they give us big lockers to hold our basses in, and that's where I keep my tuxedo. So I actually step into my locker and I close the door, and then in the darkness, I'll change clothes and I'll go through what the opera is tonight, what's the character, what's the message, what's my role in it. And it's very quiet in there, it's very calm. I can hear the other musicians walking down the hall. But to me, that little moment of darkness when I'm transitioning from the workday to my new workday to playing the music is important to me. Then I walk up the stairs, I pick up my bass, get the height set right, I center my body, and then I have two exercises that I go through that I can either do it in 5 minutes or 15 minutes. I can do 3 reps, one to work the extensors on the back of the arm with speed, and then one to work the flexors on the arm for power. And then once those are done and I do my stretches, I'm already drooling right now. I'm already getting ready to play. I enjoy the sound of the crowd, talk to my stand partner. my friend Eric. Then when the tuning comes on, then it's time to go.
That's honestly something that I've never thought about, but just the way you described it, it's very similar to a professional athlete setup for for playing in a game. It really defines what how important mental performance is prior to going
Right.
out, that you are going through a process and you trust that process. What do you think separates the top 1% of musicians from the other 10%?
That's a tough one. I think it's the mental game. It's all about the mental game. The top 1% have confidence to do everything they need to. They are very aware of the global picture, how music serves a role in our civilization. They are hyper in tune with the equipment. I think they collaborate. They understand the people around them. They understand how the institutions of music work. They understand how music can transcend governments, transcend continents. My friend Peter Wilson was the White House violinist for a long time,
Mm.
for 5 sitting presidents. We were classmates at Northwestern together. Peter told me about a state dinner one time where he had, I think it was the prime minister of Japan over for a state dinner, researched the town where he grew up, found a folk song that was popular in that region of China. And while they were at the state dinner, he played it. And I think he was sitting there at the time with Bill Clinton, and he played it, and the prime minister just stopped and stared at him and watched him. That kind of awareness and that kind of sensitivity, how music can connect you to people, how it can serve the purposes of government, awareness of the role of music and being the top performer in your game also will take you from the top 10% to the top 1%. When you get to that point where you see a world of opportunities ahead of you and you can take care of it and you know how to exploit it and how to magnify it, that's something that the top 1% of elite performers do.
Good point. What's one thing you focus on when everything around you feels out of control?
I play when things are out of control. I go to the thing that started it all, was me just getting together with friends, improvising, messing around. It all starts with a sense of play, and it all starts with a sense of gratitude. And
Mm.
that's where the roots go. I think if I find myself out of touch with my colleagues or my students, I have to stop myself and I just go play some songs that I love. And I play it for me and for nobody else. And I just get in touch and I find the voice. That usually helps me get centered and realize this is why I'm doing it.
Very good point. What did failure teach you that success never could?
I'm always going to fail at something. I know now that I can get past it.
Mhm.
Some failures I never get over, but I know that I will eventually get past it. There's a lesson in every failure. A failure is an opportunity for me to learn a new trick, to try to find out what is it about my constitution that allowed that failure to sneak in, and for me to try to figure out ways around it. So it's not that it shakes me, it makes me redefine my attitude, my posture, how I'm getting into music to begin with. Success is it's boring. It doesn't teach you anything. It allows you to use it. But the failures, everybody in the orchestra, everybody on the team is going to make a failure. Every basketball player is going to miss a shot. It's always going to happen. But in music, it's not really given. It's taboo to point out another player's mistakes. That's not where you're teaching. You don't do that. The thing I like in sports is seeing athletes. If somebody makes a mistake, their teammates huddle around them and they, either pound them for a second, then lift them up and tell them to get over it, get past it. And in music, it's a solitary profession, more of a solitary profession.
Mm.
So failures are an opportunity for progress.
Great point. What's the strangest pre-performance routine you've seen from a member in one of your shows?
A lot of them don't have it. I know some actors, and actors before a show will just have a primal scream. Christian Bale does that. He gets his people around him and they just scream and they just let it out. I've never tried it myself. I can see the value in it. I think going into a performance with a blank slate is incredibly important. Anything that you carry into the performance is going to add static and pollution. So I think working that out has value to it.
Going back to confidence, do you feel confidence can hold up without preparation?
I don't see how it would. I think that in my early career, I would try to improvise. I wanted to learn everything. And so if I had to play the same thing, I played the Nutcracker. And some Christmases, you play the Nutcracker 40 or 50 times. I was young and I needed stimulation. And so I would change it up every night. I would do something different every night. And then one time I decided I'm going to go for a week and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same fingerings, the same motions all the time. And for me, the defining moment where I really started to become a technician and a craftsman, because I started realizing that I couldn't do the same things night after night. And that by trying to do those and trying to dig into the real fine details of the motions, of the mental, of how my body was set up in every motion, that's when I really started to realize what being a craftsman was like. And for me to understand what I was preparing was important for me to feel confident, because the more I was able to refine those very small details, I realized I had more control, and more control meant greater confidence.
What's the greatest strength someone can possess?
Wow. I think the greatest strength someone can possess is knowing their strengths. I think strengths are greater than weaknesses. I think if you understand what it is about you, about your music, that makes your voice stand out. Everybody has a voice. And we're in a society now where people try to compare themselves, especially in Western civilization. That was the strength, was being happy.
Finish the sentence, Dennis. Someone has a killer mindset when
their integrity takes them through situations that they would otherwise fail in. I think consistency leads people to do the right thing when nobody's watching. The killer mindset is invisible. It's not something that other people are going to see. It's never going to be on a highlight reel. It's something that drives you through times that are very personal and very solitary.
If we have a young up and coming musician, athlete, and they're struggling with confidence, pressure, mistakes, what advice would you give them?
Great. Also, I think play for the fun of it, play for your own enjoyment, and then eventually find a friend that's like-minded and play music with them. Get together and play, not because you want to be the best. There's something magical about a song and about a groove and playing something, especially with friends and people that love you and that you love as well. Go find somebody who's reputable around the area, see who everybody's talking about, go find a mentor, and then get advice.
That closing statement, a bunch of nuggets you had there for us. Anything you feel we didn't cover or you want to talk about that you may be able to pass on to the next generation?
I think what you're focusing on with the mindset and the consistency is the most important thing. My favorite thing, there's something that I've heard you talk about before, which is how do you behave when you're performing under pressure? For me, the biggest pressure was always auditions or solos. If I have something where I'm the only one playing, whether I'm playing in front of 2,000 people or an arena of 40,000 people, the comedian Stephen Wright said something that made an impact on me. If you're swimming in the ocean, it doesn't matter how deep the water is. That the way that I play in a single room is going to be the way I play in front of 2,000 people. That's where it is. There are people that are expecting things of me, and I want to be able to deliver. But I know if I can deliver to my friends, I'm going to be able to deliver to them too. So focusing on the mechanics of playing, and then at the same time, trying to exude joy and happiness, be centered, be grateful. To me, gratitude is a big part of my mindset. And that's how I start every day.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dennis. I appreciate the correlation that it ties into sports, into life, into performance. That's what it's all about. At Sasyn Mental Performance, discipline today, dominate tomorrow. If this conversation helped you think differently about performance, share it with an athlete, share it with a friend, share it with a musician who needs to hear it, and follow Sasyn Mental Performance for more. On the YouTube side, hammer the subscribe button. Remember, knowledge is power when you choose to apply it. Now go out and execute, and thank you, world class, Dennis Whittaker. Till we talk again.
Thank you, Carl.